Oh no, Pookie is missing! Hi, my name is Matthew, and you might know me as Boy on TikTok, it's Boy on Twitter, Matt underscore on Instagram, or you might not know me at all. And for those of you who don't, I am a content creator that talks all things World of Wonder and Drag Race, especially that of Drag Race outside of the US. And happy Pride season! Make sure you leave cookies out tonight for gay. And today, for my 14th video ever, we're going to do something a little brief. At least I hope it's brief. I tend to ramble. I seldom ever do quote-unquote news-related things on this channel. However, I feel like recent news that came out about Drag Race Mexico warrants talking about. Oh, Shining. Hi. On Thursday, May 16th, 2024, the first teaser trailer for Drag Race Mexico Season 2 dropped, featuring the hosts as the highlights. Of course, familiar face Lolita Banana made an appearance, officially confirming her return to this hosting gig a second time around. But there was one unfamiliar face that was featured in the trailer. At least unfamiliar within the pantheon of Drag Race itself goes. Taiga Brava, the winner of Queen of the Universe Season 2, confirming her as the new co-host of Drag Race Mexico. Now, it goes without saying that there is one particularly notable individual not featured in this trailer.
Hello, it's me, Valentina.
Season 9 and All-Stars 4 alum and co-host of Drag Race Mexico Season 1, Valentina. Yes, though sad, it is true, Valentina will not be returning to host this franchise. This announcement left many fans scratching their heads. What happened to Valentina? Was she fired? Did she quit? Why didn't she return? And let me tell you that we are not going to be answering those questions. Hate to break it to you, we are not here to speculate on why Valentina is not hosting Drag Race Mexico Season 2. And yes, I am aware that the title, The Great Valentina Caper, implies that we are going to go find her, but the title was kinda clickbait. Only kinda. Instead, today, I thought it would be fun to not discuss why Valentina left, but rather we discuss what it means for the franchise overall that Valentina is no longer there and Taiga Brava is now in her stead. We'll discuss the implications, what it means for the show's popularity, and why Taiga Brava might actually be the perfect replacement for Valentina, no matter what reason there was that she left. Let's get started, shall we? When Drag Race Mexico was first teased back in 2022, there was much speculation on if the franchise would be hosted by a Drag Race alum a la Canada's Drag Race Belgique, and Drag Race France, or if it would be hosted by local drag icons a la Drag Race Sverige, Drag Race Italia, and Drag Race España. But obviously, with how Drag Race fans are, the former speculation dominated the conversation. Fans instantly scoured through the roster of Drag Race alum to see which queens have been on the show and its various franchises over the past 13 years that have Mexican heritage and speak Spanish fluently. Many names were tossed out. Denali, Crystal Method. I even saw a couple people speculating about Tammy Brown. Could you imagine? But eventually, fans started to point their eyes towards Lolita Banana, Drag Race France Season 1 alum who finished the season with 4th place. In her season, Lolita was very transparent about her journey as a Mexican immigrant living in France, including its tribulations, its values, and its importance. Whether the judges responded positively to that journey is up for debate, but that's besides the point. My hair is so big. The point is rather that Lolita was a prominent Mexican figure within the Drag Race pantheon. Ergo, many fans quickly settled upon her as the top choice to host Drag Race Mexico. However, as we got closer to the filming of this season, Drag Race Nancy Drews started to uncover a different answer. Valentina would be hosting Drag Race Mexico. And for the longest time, rumor had it that she would be the only host. It seemed that Lolita would make an appearance, but the general understanding was that she was just going to be a one-time guest judge. That's at least how it seemed to the Nancy Drews. But on May 12th, 2023, everyone would be pleasantly surprised to find out that it would actually be a co-host situation, something we hadn't seen since Drag Race Thailand. I remember being absolutely stoked when I read this press release. It was just genuinely so cool to see two iconic figures representing the franchises in the US and France coming together to host in Mexico. Ugh, I loved it. But let me not stray off topic. Though both queens were undoubtedly icons within the RuPaul cinematic universe, all eyes seemed to be on Valentina. Valentina is simply one of the biggest names in Drag Race ever. Oh my god, is this the new ASMR? Just me trying to fix my necklaces. Her time on season 9 was one of the most controversial runs a Drag Race contestant has ever had. It was a perfect storm of her being one of the most beautiful and charismatic queens that the show has ever seen up until that point, in tandem with her being at the center of the season's most tense but also most iconic moments, such as Aja calling her out in Untucked, and, of course, who can forget Mask Gate. No matter what she experienced on the show, however, she instantly became one of the fan favorites of all time, as Aja aptly pointed out in the reunion.
We're fan favorite!
And then in her return for All Stars 4, though not as controversial, still placed Valentina at the forefront as one of the primary players of the season, with her personality shining through as she gave us that telenovela, French vanilla fantasy that we come to know and love from her. And many fans instantly fell in love with her again. I guess the point I'm trying to make here is that Valentina is undoubtedly one of the most prolific Drag Race queens of all time. And the choice to make her one of the hosts of Drag Race Mexico was undoubtedly a strategic one. Valentina's worldwide acclaim was no small feat, making her one of the biggest incentives to tune into Drag Race Mexico, especially for fans outside of Mexico itself. However, during the season, the reception to Valentina's hosting skills was a mixed bag. Upon reflection, it really is fascinating to see how dichotomized the fandom was on her as a host. Some fans found her to be a good quality host, saying that her critiques were constructive and claiming that she could have hosted the franchise alone. Others had more negative things to say, particularly from Spanish-speaking and Mexican viewers of the show, citing her fluency in Spanish to be too lackluster to be a host at all, as well as her not being able to pick up on particular nuances of Mexican pop/drag culture. The latter argument of which is the most interesting. You see, Valentina, though born of Mexican immigrant parents, grew up in LA, and to some, that caused a certain disconnect as a host that could never really be bridged. Valentina obviously takes a lot of pride in her Latin heritage, as it influences all aspects of her drag. But there are particular nuances that you can only glean if you grow up and or live in a specific environment long term. But Valentina didn't grow up in Mexico, and to some, that really affected her abilities as a host of a Mexican franchise. I should clarify that this is not the stance that I hold. I personally found Valentina to be a good host, but keep in mind that I, A, do not have Mexican heritage, and B, do not speak a lick of Spanish, so my opinion isn't the one that matters or holds any weight. But rather, this is a stance that many local viewers took when watching the first season of Drag Race Mexico, which I gathered from online reviews, forums, personal friends I have, etc. And I think this mentality had a major influence on a lot of the reactions that fans had when considering Taiga Brava as the new co-host of Drag Race Mexico, who I haven't even gotten a chance to introduce to you yet. Oh, okay. I almost knocked over my bookshelf. Could you imagine if it fell over on top of me like that video of Angela Anang? Taiga Brava is a Mexican drag queen from Mexico City and Cancun. She is most well known as the winner of the second season of Queen of the Universe, a short-lived drag-based singing competition that aired from 2021 to 2023. Now, I did touch upon Queen of the Universe briefly in my Drag Race Brazil video, and in that video I noted, though season 1 winner of Queen of the Universe, Drag Queen, may not specifically be a Drag Race alum, her legacy outside of the show more than speaks for itself. marking her as a perfect choice to host a franchise. Her winning Queen of the Universe, a World of Wonder production, only augmented her resume by notarizing, so to speak, her hosting gig on Drag Race Brazil after earning this World of Wonder specific accolade. And I think this applies to Taiga Brava as well. Taiga's career outside of World of Wonder is very proactive. She revealed during Queen of the Universe that she started doing drag after she started going to therapy, where she learned to embrace her femininity as well as her masculinity. Since then, she's been very influential in her local drag scene in Cancun. And, like Greg, her being cast on Queen of the Universe was a big to-do. And her run on the show was something spectacular. I mean, she did win after all. Though she started the season in the bottom in the first episode, she stunned audiences with performances to famous songs such as Everything I Wanted, Praying, Good Ones, and Chandelier. And this run led her all the way to the finale, where she beat out vocal threats such as Trevor Ashley of Australia and Aura Eternal, Drag Race Italia Season 2 alum. Though Queen of the Universe doesn't have as far of a cultural reach that Drag Race does, I mean, just look at the abrupt cancellation of the show, it is still Drag Race adjacent. Though savvy Drag Race fans might not have watched, they still paid marginal attention to Queen of the Universe, so Taiga Brava wasn't a name that befell unfamiliar ears. And therefore, her being cast as a host of Drag Race Mexico allows fans to have a familiarity with her that they might not have had before. But one of the caveats of that is that her recognition by Drag Race fans is not as potent as Valentina's. We established earlier that Valentina was a huge draw to watch the first season of Drag Race Mexico, but I want to emphasize that that is specifically an international draw. Whether you consider Mexico 1 a good season or not, there is no doubting that it had a lot of attention pre-season. An unprecedented amount of attention compared to any other international franchise of Drag Race. And while I do believe that a lot of that attention came from the long-time cry within the fandom to produce Drag Race Mexico, I mean the build-up to Drag Race Mexico was going to be big no matter what. But I also believe that Valentina's name alone on the billing contributed to a huge portion of that early traction for the franchise. I mean, there was this one comment that I saw on the video that announced Taiga Brava as host, where someone said that half of the audience was watching for Valentina herself, and I just haven't been able to stop thinking about it. But World of Wonder no doubt knew that, right? And when they lost Valentina as a host, again, whether Valentina left on her own accord or the show opted for her not to return, they likely knew the hit the season would take with its viewership, especially with the audience outside of Mexico. But the international audience is not the name of the game. I think that's a common misconception with Drag Race as a global brand. We often talk about how a franchise of Drag Race can have a worldwide appeal, but that means nothing if it doesn't make a splash within the borders of the country that it airs in. One of the things that I touched upon in my video about Drag Race Mexico Season 1 is that Mexico is heretofore the only country where World of Wonder has to face a competitive market for drag-based reality competition series, having the formidable foe of La Mas Draga, which so far has blown Drag Race Mexico out of the water. And I theorized and or concluded at the end of that video that World of Wonder needs to do a serious course correction if they want to ensure the survival of Drag Race Mexico within the shadow of LMD. And one of the ways of doing that is ensuring that your product, the product being Drag Race, resonates and is marketable to your local audience. And though I don't think that that was a conscious reason why World of Wonder casted Taiga Brava to replace Valentina, I do think that that is a byproduct of her casting. I do think that Taiga Brava is going to bring a new love and attention to Drag Race Mexico that Valentina might not have been able to bring herself. And the reason I say that is because we kind of already see the hype build up around her from local audiences. Take this comment from the original announcement video as an example. To Drag Race Mexico, it is important to be in Mexican people's hearts. We love Valentina, but she was not what we were expecting. Having two hostesses that are Mexican at its fullest will be great. because of the magnificent interaction they could have, because Mexican chemistry is magical. Mexican fans are taking kindly to Taiga as a host because they are appreciative of her being a native to Mexico itself. Taiga likely will be able to capture and recognize the nuances of Mexican humor, pop culture references, etc. Something that fans unfortunately found lacking in Valentina. Valentina, in my opinion, had a great first stint as a host of Drag Race Mexico, but she's no longer here. And Taiga can represent a great opportunity for Drag Race Mexico to recalibrate, refocus, and re-engage. For them to lock in. And I truly think that that is a step in the right direction. And again, I want to emphasize that I am not suggesting that they specifically kicked Valentina out in an effort to recalibrate, but more so, I'm trying to present this in a way that's like the producers saying, Valentina is gone, what do we do to rectify that? Does that make sense? Though Valentina will be missed, she does bid adieu to the show with some kind words that she shared with Collider. It was a great honor to serve as a host for the inaugural season of Drag Race Mexico. Thank you to my World of Wonder family for making this dream come true of bringing Drag Race to Mexico. Also, thank you to my dear fans for all your support. I wish all the best for the new host, and I will be tuning in. Love, Valentina. Passing the torch off to Taiga Brava, and in my opinion, the show is in good hands. But yeah, this was just a brief video that I really wanted to talk about with you all. And I thought it would be fun to share my thoughts on the topic with you all, which honestly basically can be summed up to me saying, I'm really excited to see what Taiga Brava will do as a host. And I hope you'd be able to share your thoughts on the topic with me as well. Feel free to comment down below. And while we're here, why don't you feel free to tell me what you think about the cast of Drag Race Mexico Season 2? I found the promo to be so cute, and I'm really excited to see what the cast will bring. Particular favorites of mine are Ava Blunt, Ignis, and Maria Bonita. But yes, thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if not, please, 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 please remember that I am just a gay person talking on the internet.